Welcome to Truth Lab. Today's myth versus fact is about caffeine and sleep. Here's the myth. If I can still fall asleep after coffee, caffeine doesn't affect my sleep. That sounds reasonable, but it's often wrong. Because falling asleep is not the same thing as getting high-quality sleep. You can fall asleep and still sleep worse. So in this episode, I'll do three things. First, I'll explain why caffeine can affect sleep even when you think you're fine. Second, I'll summarize what controlled research shows about timing. Third, I'll give you a simple experiment to find your personal caffeine cutoff. Let's start with what most people miss. Most people judge caffeine with one question. Did I fall asleep? But the better question is, did I sleep deeply and wake up restored? If your sleep quality drops, you might notice it as waking up once or twice, lighter sleep, more vivid dreams, or feeling unrefreshed the next morning. Not dramatic insomnia. Now, why does this happen? Caffeine mainly works by blocking adenosine. Adenosine is one of the signals that builds sleep pressure across the day. When caffeine blocks that signal, you can feel less sleepy. But here's the trap. Even if you can still fall asleep at your usual time, caffeine can change your sleep architecture, meaning the pattern and depth of your sleep through the night. Next, the part that explains why people argue about caffeine online. The half-life. Half-life means the time it takes your body to clear about half of the caffeine. For many adults, a typical average is around 5 hours, but the range is wide. Some people clear caffeine fast, some people clear it very slowly, and that difference can come from genetics, medications, liver metabolism, and even pregnancy. So one rule for everyone is unrealistic. Let's do simple math. Imagine you drink about 200 milligrams of caffeine at 4 p.m. If your half-life is 5 hours, then around 9 p.m., you may still have about 100 milligrams in your system, and around 2 a.m., you may still have about 50 milligrams left. If you clear caffeine more slowly than average, the amount left at bedtime can be higher. So you might fall asleep, but your sleep can be lighter, shorter, or more fragmented. Now to the key evidence about timing. A controlled lab study tested caffeine at different timing windows before bed. Right at bedtime, 3 hours before bedtime, and 6 hours before bedtime. They compared those to a placebo condition. And one result is especially important for everyday life. Caffeine taken 6 hours before bedtime still reduced total sleep time. So the common advice, just avoid caffeine right before bed, is not a safe rule. Now, one study alone isn't everything. So what happens when researchers review multiple studies? A systematic review and meta-analysis looked across trials and estimated how long before bedtime caffeine may need to stop to avoid meaningful sleep disruption. Depending on dose and sensitivity, the needed window can be longer than people think. In plain language, 6 hours is often a minimum, not a guarantee. So what should you actually do? You do not need to memorize a perfect number. You need a personal cutoff that works for your body and your schedule. Here is the simplest practical rule. Start conservative, then test and adjust. I'll give you a 7-day experiment. Step 1. Pick your usual bedtime. Let's use midnight as an example. Step 2. Set a conservative caffeine cutoff, 9 hours before bed. So if you sleep at midnight, your last caffeine is 3 p.m. Step 3. Keep your caffeine dose stable for the week. Don't change 5 things at once. If you normally have 1 coffee, keep it 1 coffee. If you normally have 2, keep it 2. Consistency is how you isolate the effect. Step 4. Watch out for hidden caffeine after your cutoff. This is where most people mess up. Hidden caffeine can come from strong tea, cola, energy drinks, pre-workouts, dark chocolate, and even decaf coffee, which can still contain small amounts. Step 5. Track only 3 outcomes each day. 1. How long it took to fall asleep. 2. How many times you woke up. 3. How you feel at around 10 a.m. the next morning. What counts as improvement? Fewer wake-ups, a deeper, more restored feeling, and better next morning energy. Not just, I fell asleep. After 7 days, interpret your result. If your sleep clearly improves, your old cutoff was too late. Keep the new cutoff. If nothing changes at all, you may be less sensitive, your dose may be low, or caffeine may not be your main issue. Then you can test a later cutoff by moving it 1 hour later for another week. For example, from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. This is the key. You're not guessing. You're running a simple personal trial. Now let's address the dose problem. Caffeine timing matters, but dose matters too. A small coffee might be around 60 to 120 milligrams. A strong large coffee can be much higher. Energy drinks and pre-workouts can push you into a range that disrupts sleep even with an early cutoff. If you want one quick upgrade that helps most people, keep caffeine earlier and keep total caffeine moderate. Now, a few fast myth versus fact clarifications you can remember. Myth: decaf means zero caffeine. Fact: decaf usually has less caffeine, but not always zero. If you're sensitive, decaf late in the day can still matter. Myth: espresso is always stronger than drip coffee. Fact: it depends on the serving size. Per ounce, espresso can be concentrated, but many drip coffees are served in larger volumes, so total caffeine can be similar or higher. Myth: if caffeine wears off, I'll sleep extra hard later. Fact: sometimes you crash, but your sleep can still be lighter or more fragmented. Feeling sleepy is not the same as getting deep sleep. Now, a quick safety note. If you have anxiety symptoms, panic symptoms, palpitations, or frequent night waking, be more conservative with caffeine timing and dose. And if you are under 18, treat high-dose caffeine especially carefully. This video is general education, not personal medical advice. Let's wrap it up. The real takeaway is not no caffeine after 2 p.m. That rule is too blunt. The real takeaway is find your personal cutoff with a 7-day test. Start at 9 hours before bed, then adjust by 1 hour steps if needed. If you want more evidence-based myth versus fact episodes, subscribe to Truth Lab. Next episode, myth: alcohol helps you sleep. Fact: it can knock you out at first, then disrupt sleep later in the night. I'll put the research links and sources in the video description and pinned comment.